Good morning, students. Welcome to today's class. Today we are going to learn lesson World of Living. Okay, children? So that is about the living organisms. The world of living consists of all the living organisms, that is either animals or plants or human beings. So we already know animals, plants and human beings, they all come under the living organisms, right? What are the characteristics of living things or characteristics of living organisms? So this lesson we are going to learn only about the living organisms. So what are the common characteristics of living organisms? The common characteristics of living organisms are cellular structure, reproduction, movement, growth, nutrition, respiration, response to stimuli, excretion and lifespan. So we have 9 characteristics of living organisms which we are going to learn in detail. So today we are going to discuss the first one, that is living things which are made up of cells. So the cell is basic unit of life. All living things are made of cells. Every living organism is made of cell, and a cell is a basic unit of life. It is a structural and functional unit of plants, animals as well as animals. So in animals, even human beings also come under that. So cells are so small that we cannot see them with our naked eyes. We cannot see a cell. We can see a cell by using the microscope. Okay, children. So the number of cells in the living things vary over an enormous range. So some organisms will have only one cell, whereas some organisms will have many cells. Okay. For example, if you take an amoeba, you can see the picture of unicellular organisms, that is paramecium, okay, and amoeba, and then euglena. So these are the examples of the organisms which are having single cell. They have only one cell. So what are unicellular organisms? The organism which has only one cell, those organisms are called as unicellular organism. Examples: bacteria, yeast, paramecium, amoeba, euglena, etc. So all these are the examples of unicellular organism. Coming to multicellular organisms, the organisms which consist of many cells are called as multicellular organisms. Example: cats, dogs, ants, even human beings, they also come under multicellular organisms. As I told you, like cell is a basic unit of life. So group of cells, they form the tissues, and group of tissues forms organs, group of organs forms organ system, and group of organ system forms the organism. Okay, children. So cell is a basic and structural unit of life. So this is about the first characteristic of living thing, that is living things are made of cells. Now coming to the second characteristic, that is living things grow. So we know that every living organism grows. For here you can see the pictures. So one is the plants, a seedling. So we know that when you sow a seedling will be turning as the small plant, baby plant. So that they call it as a transplanting, right? And then it becomes a little bigger, then it becomes still more, and it becomes a flowering. It starts giving the flowers, then the plant has become the mature. So here from a seedling, a plant is changing and it is giving so many seeds. So this is the growth stages of the rice. So where we are getting the rice. So this is taking place in the plant. Now here you can see a baby, a newborn baby, that is an infant, and then little growing and able to sit, and that baby is growing into a small child, then adult, and then becoming as an old woman. So here there is growth in both the plants and animals. In the same way, even human beings, and even human beings, animals and plants, all these organisms, they will grow. Okay, so this is the second characteristic of living things. Now coming to the third one, living things reproduce. Reproducing means continuing the same species. To continue the same species, the living things will reproduce. So in the first one, you can see that the plant that is forming a seed. A seed is present in the plant, and then when you sow the seed in the soil, it grows into a young plant, that is a baby plant. The baby plant gets matured, means little bit it grows more, and then it starts giving the flowers. You can see the flowers here, right? It has grown into a flower, and again we all know that a flower grows into a fruit. It makes fruit. So again a fruit is formed. Then inside the fruit again seeds. So here to continue the same species, the plants will reproduce. So reproduction is an important characteristic of all living organisms. The young ones grow into adults, which again will reproduce. So if you take this animal, see the example of animal. So here I gave an example of a plant. Here you can see the example of animal where I took a life cycle of a butterfly. So here you can see the eggs of that, and then the egg is changing into a caterpillar. So caterpillar will secrete a liquid from its mouth, which when it is reacting with the moisture, it changes into a pupa. The insect will be inside, and then it becomes a pupa. Then you call it as a cocoon, and from the pupa it is again growing into a butterfly where you are getting the silk. So we know that this is nothing but life cycle of a butterfly or a silkworm where you are going to get the silk. Okay, so from the eggs it is growing into a caterpillar. The caterpillar is producing the saliva, which is forming the pupa, cocoon, which is formed, and then that is again growing into a butterfly. So here the plants and animals and even human beings also will be reproducing. Okay, so some animals, if you take some animals such as hen and all, they reproduce by laying the eggs. So a few animals such as cows or human beings, or even elephants, then kittens, that is cats. So cats, dogs, all these are the animals which give direct birth to their young ones. In the same way, if you see some plants will reproduce through the seeds. You have learnt in your earlier classes. And there are some plants which reproduce through vegetative reproduction, that is vegetative propagation, either through the stem or the roots or the leaves, right? So that type of reproduction which is produced in place of seed. So without the involvement of seed, if the plant is reproducing using the other vegetative parts like a stem or a root or a leaf, then that type of reproduction is called as a vegetative reproduction. Okay children, so every living organism will reproduce to continue their species. Okay, now so we discussed about the three characteristics of living things, children. So that is, living things are made up of cells, living things will reproduce, and living things will grow. Yes, so these are the three characteristics which we discussed today. So tomorrow we will discuss the still more characteristics of living organisms. So please read the textbook, children, for your better understanding. Thank you, children. Have a good day.